that's a standard First World War bullet, 303 bullet. This is the bit that is fired at people.
We're all trying to find different pieces and artefacts from World War I to put into like a kit bag to give to different schools around Edinburgh so they can do a project on World War I.
This is part of a bayonet and it's still attached to the barrel of the rifle.
It's all about kind of making it a bit more relatable and kind of more interesting to learn about. That's built from a young person's perspective for a young person's perspective.
For every single subject in the curriculum, they're going to take what we've put in and make a lesson out of it. So it's to try and get the pupils and the teachers to be creative.
These two boxes here may be worth looking at, and one item of particular interest is this here, and it's been nicknamed the death penny. So anybody that died in the First World War, their family was sent one of these pennies. There's multiple aims within the project. First and foremost for me, obviously, it would be coming at this from a global citizenship point of view, and that's all the skills that are involved with that and preparing our young people for living in a global world. And the issues and the themes that are involved with World War I are very much fitting and relevant to today. For them, initially, their first phase of the project was actually getting to know each other and working with a different group of young people from different school settings who they'd never worked with before. And from that, we introduced some themes for them initially, just to get their appetite going on some of the subjects around World War I.
Okay guys, while we're here in the War Poets Archive, I'd really just like you to be thinking about how this relates to our project and whether this might be something that we want to think about actually including in the kit bag. I think it's really exciting that young people are actually creating resources and stimulus that will go into high schools as their starting point. They're then going to have several months to develop work, lesson plans, workshops, themes arising from these resources, and then what's going to take place will be 3 days of intensive interdisciplinary learning.
So that would be one from very early in 1914.
Yeah.
So that was before the war started, so that's actually an ad. Propaganda is kind of a really good way of getting into the headspace of somebody who was alive at the time. So what I really want you to do is start making choices, because you're the editors, you're curating these kit bags.
It's kind of showing someone like conquering.
Yeah, like he looks really happy to like be at war.
The creative collaboration is very much young person led, but to kind of get the young people together, we have arts and creative learning, we have the international unit, we have the library service, and we have our community learning and development kind of youth work team involved. And we also now have involved some external partners, including Historic Scotland, to work with us. But the kind of the creative energy very much comes from the young people.
I think it's good because we understand what other people our age want to learn about and how we learn, we understand, and I think it's good that we can use our own knowledge to help others.
I think World War I was the first war that involved all the countries from around the world. I mean, everyone in Britain kind of knew someone that had lost someone or had lost someone themselves, and it was the basis of warfare going forward.
Just try and imagine during that period what it was like even being here at the castle. There were 2 regiments based here at the castle during World War I. They were billeted here. You would have people signing up.
People that weren't around in the war, it would be good for them to learn what the soldiers went through, the types of things they had to do, the types of places that they had to live. Town like Edinburgh Castle, like the trenches. And it would be good for them to think what those places were like in World War I and what they're like now.
I think it's important to link to Edinburgh because we obviously live here and like the people who are going to do the projects live here, so it's just trying to make them think what it would be like if it was happening now, like more personal, like people can relate to it more.
When we were researching, we looked a bit at young soldiers pretending to be an age that they're not, around our age, and it was very interesting to kind of think, well, 100 years ago that could have been me.
This was the battalion that involved the heart of Napoleon.
Yeah,
it's quite famous. I think it's really important for people to learn about the past so they can see where it was that they came from and how they came to be the person that they are today, which is something that everyone should know about.
Some people take quite a lot of pride in their heritage. So for me, my dad's in the army and my granddad was in the army, and then my great-granddad and my great-nana were evacuees. So I take a lot of pride when we do World War I projects to be able to say that I have a past and relatives that were involved in the war.
Choose your secret mission. And choose your secret mission.
Including at least 3 artefacts and 2 personal accounts from the War Museum and the War Memorial, you must perform a 1-minute news broadcast for radio related to World War I.
Yeah, so we'll add that in, yeah.
Because is it a brother?
Yeah. I think heritage is important because it's kind of inside all of us. Like, we all have ancestors who were in the war. We all have people that we know that kind of have stories about it. I think it's really important that we remember their stories and we can tell it to people in the future. I believe you actually received a memorial plaque for your husband's death.
Yes. Well, over here we like to call it the death penny. It's a bit morbid, but when the plaque came through the post, I just knew it was over, and that my husband William, he wasn't coming home. Just because things happen in the past doesn't mean they're not important or that they just disappear, because they did happen and they still have a very important message that they can tell people today and that we can learn from to try and avoid making the same great mistakes that we did in the past.
We would like to take a moment to sit and reflect on the life and loss of William Dick, 1st Battalion Scots Guard, and the life and loss of Hayden Mellor of the Gordon Highlanders, born in Kirkcaldy and killed in action in 1918.
Thank you. How wonderful. I'm so impressed with the amount of information you managed to get in there. So really well done.
My role is to help you guys put together the kit bags. There's a haversack one, which is like that, like a sort of messenger bag. And there's also what's actually called a kit bag. Now, you could potentially have both of them, or you could decide you want to just go for one of them.
I want you to really imagine you are the teachers that are opening up the kit bag. What's your top 5 ones that would evoke the most emotional and creative response from you to think, actually, I could use that to then do a project with other young people? We want all of your ideas. It's as many ideas as you can. Harmonica. Harmonica is a good one.
Something about the Christmas truce and humanity. We all have different ideas and different suggestions for what should go in, and we all find different things important and different things interesting. So bringing that together, we can cover a wide range of people who and what their interests would be, especially our age.
Homefront Children at War and the White Feather. We can still look at how we can pull some of these items together.
Yeah, that's good.
Pack up your troubles in your old kit bag. Smile, smile, smile.
We met staff at Craig Lockett and researched the war poets at the library there.
And we went to the portrait gallery to see their World War I exhibition.
We did a workshop with Palme d'Or winner and Scottish screenwriter Paul Laverty.
As well as this, we are working towards accreditation through Youth Achievement Awards and Saltire Awards.
Today marks a very exciting milestone in the project. This is now the point in the project where it's about engaging with even more young people. But how your school approaches this project will be about what's right for your school setting, your school's priorities.
This is the bag that the soldiers would have had on them.
This box is all about the home front. This massive roll is about propaganda posters.
Hey, I've got the main present. It's so exciting. We're hoping the stimulus will be used by the staff more to give us ideas and then just show them to the young people, and hopefully these guys will be able to talk them through, because they've got weeks of research and knowledge.
I think the kit bag's so good, do you know what I think? And it's it's so interesting, all the things look really realistic. It's even the smallest things, like the harmonica. Yeah. It's almost overwhelming how much it is to work with. And there's so many things, little things that are just so important.
The tins and everything, because obviously when we were starting it, we were just thinking of pieces of paper, and then we met Paul, and Paul's gone away and made everything, and it's amazing.
It's quite clever putting it all in the kit bag, and you have that whole thing of discovery, and therefore your imagination's running and you're more creative as a result.
That's an old-fashioned oxycubes, that's not a new one.
We all work with young people in different capacities, so that's quite nice as well. So it becomes a complete sort of whole school event. So the journey that we go on will be just as valuable for us as it is for the young people, because we're sort of learning together.
And then this is the Dr. Rivers folder of medical notes. But it's a key thing that happens at the next kind of phase of the project is that the schools have the opportunity to involve artists in shaping the responses that they want to make. So we don't know at the moment what those responses are going to be, but I think that's one of the great things about this. It is a real learning adventure.
It's so interesting because just seeing like the amount of ideas and the like creativity that people have, and if they enjoy it as well, then you're bringing like enjoyment to people, which is always a good thing.
That was very
I'm not offering you an opportunity to go to war. I'm offering you an opportunity to have an adventure. I want you to be among the first to have the privilege of joining the new 15th Battalion of the Royal Scots.
What interested me about the project was the whole idea of the pupils not working specifically in one subject area, but getting to work across a number of subject areas. Also, I mean, the fact that it's 3 days, it's an opportunity for them to get much more involved in it and do their own thing with the stimulus that we've been given.
So if you're in a trench, you might feel the rats scuttling by.
This group's the soldier's voice, so they're specifically looking at the soldiers and how their life was. Then on Thursday they're going to produce a monologue, like a diary entry, and they'll perform it.
Attention! Focus, up, out, back, straight, right turn, right turn, right turn.
It's all about transferable skills, resilience, communication, discipline, but also to reiterate about World War I and how difficult it was, and to give them physically how it felt and mentally how it felt.
What happened was, the whole of the first team squad, there was no conscription, volunteered for the army, and it's the name of the 7 players that were killed during the First World War.
I decided to do the Battle of the Somme in the Craze Battalion just from my experience of teaching it within the classroom and having to teach all of the First World War, and I knew our pupils and knew that they were harsh supporters, so they wanted to learn about it, they wanted to go to Tynecastle and they wanted to learn the past and then how it links into today.
Like when we first started the project, I was like, what is going on? This is not going to work. Like, no schools are going to be interested in this. And then when we got to come along, I thought that was good because it let us see how they all interpreted it and like what their ideas were about the kit bag.
My surprise was when we went to the library and like that was the first group that we saw that was using the stuff that we had given in our kit bag. We felt very proud.
We've created an exhibition for you to go around which has a lot of information about the poets, about World War I soldiers' experiences, about Craig Lockett Hospital.
At first in my group I was kind of sceptical because I thought maybe they'll find it a bit boring or maybe they'll think it's not like that interesting, but I was kind of surprised that it was just nice that they like actually paid an interest and I think they wanted to learn.
So remember, we've got all the props here in the classroom. We've got costumes, we've got plates, we've got a tablecloth.
It's a really important resource, I think, to have instead of just kind of delivering a presentation, because visually stimuluses are really important for them to have something that they can see, something that they can touch, something that they can kind of get a real sort of sense of this is a real item. There was so much inspiration we could get from that when they chose their items. They picked really well.
From a work experience point of view, how do you feel that it's going? Are you learning anything new? Is it different from what you expected it was going to be like?
One of the main aspects of the project is for young people to volunteer, and it's showing them that you can get something back from investing your time, and that's what they've been doing. They've been investing their time.
I do think it has made a difference that the resources put together by young people, because that sort of motivates them as well to think, you know, I could do something like that. It makes it more accessible almost, because they're used to their teachers providing lessons for them, but when they know that it's actually another group of young people, it's maybe a bit more exciting, something that's a little bit different.
Basically, they've been looking at propaganda posters, and then what they'll eventually do is they'll come up with one of their own as a finished project, trying to convince people to join the war. I think they're doing great. They've come up with some great ideas all around. As they see these things, that provokes them, and then it leads on to bigger and better things.
There's quite a lot of new concepts to learn about with the whole history and the propaganda, and the technique of printing was quite different for you. I mean, I think all your images have come out really nicely there. Yeah, really effective there. You really got to grips with the printing.
I think it allows pupils to see that learning can take place in any environment, and especially when we're giving them a bit more freedom in their environment, it means that they have the opportunity to be more creative, and they are gaining independence as well in their learning. They are being the kind of leaders of their learning.
What about we get like bagpipe music?
That's such a good idea. Right, so bagpipe, you could do like a music track over, because we're going to be in this room, so we could have it over. When they teach us about it in class, it's just like written work and stuff, and you don't actually think about it, it's just work. But when they found out that soldiers, you know, about their family, about how they lived, that they were actual people, and that just helps your understanding.
So you've got the poppies and the feathers, so it's a bit like a kind of memorial wreath. I think it's really pleasing to see how this type of learning just appeals to different kids. Pupils that maybe aren't sort of the most enthusiastic suddenly just kind of come to life and take ownership of it. It's great. The kids can just get their hands dirty and actually make things and then learn that way.
I thought it would be boring, but actually it makes you think more, and it just really helps, so you don't have to stop and like do other subjects, you're just focused on one thing. That night I woke up screaming my head off with the pain in my arm and my heart. I was shaking like a leaf.
A lot of them have gone home over the past few days, and I've been asking family, you know, did we have relatives that fought in World War I or that were alive during World War I or that were in Edinburgh? And it makes them a lot more sort of personally engaged with it.
Right, left, right, left.
I think the biggest impact was the soldiers' lives, about how like if they had a mother and the father, or if they had a wife and kids, that they just left it all because they were so dedicated to fighting for their country. I think that empowered me to really want to work on this project like wholeheartedly and make sure that all the kids really respected what the soldiers did.
Good. Keep shouting at us.
I think just physically, every day when they woke up, they felt absolutely shattered, and I think they physically feel, I wouldn't want to have done that, and they'll be able to sort of join the dots between Remembrance Sunday, the poppy, and they'll remember that feeling, and they'll be able to associate what they did today with part of the war.
Craig Locker, that's probably stuck out the most for me. All the medical issues that they suffered, that kind of hit home a bit, because the mental stuff that a lot of people had to go through. When you learn about the war in school, you don't really get to hear so much about all the mental issues that they went through.
Keep the home fires burning while your hearts are yearning. Though your lads are far away, they dream of home.
It's really weird to see all our stuff here.
Yeah.
I came in and I was like, look at it! I know.
These are the students that designed the kit bag. So Morgan will talk you through what we've done, and she'll let you hear the video as well.
I feel very proud. It was interesting to see their take on it and what we gave them and how different it was from our school. And walking in and seeing the kit bag itself and all the items was just, I felt very proud of the group and what we have achieved.
Oh yeah, that was Sarah's thing. Sarah wanted to put that in.
I put in a little love heart, and it was with lavender, and I put that in the soldier's kit bag as a reminder of home. And they had the heart and you'd scan it, and there was someone reading a letter about the lavender and about how it made them feel, so I think it was really nice to see them using something that I specifically wanted to put in.
All the other kids have spent 3 days working towards something, and we were the ones that started that off, and we were the ones that kind of helped them get to that point. So it was quite a proud feeling, but quite a jealous feeling as well, I have to say. Because although we've got the kit bags, our final product was their starting product, so I'm a bit jealous.
I think it's great. They've taken what is an incredibly weighty and mature theme and ran with it, and I think the young people have really taken it down to a very local level and talked about the young men and women themselves as opposed to mass battles and geopolitical climates which they would learn about from school. They've really found the human element to the work that I've seen today, which has been very interesting and very moving.
because I don't really follow football that much, and what they did with the football field and putting the strips of the Hearts players that died, I thought that was really interesting. It's great to think that like, he made something for them and they've gone away and managed to do that with like what you've made.
That night I woke up screaming my head off with the pain in my arm and my heart. I was shaking like a leaf. I could hear men screaming names, Mum, Dad. I now know what I signed up for.
I think one of the really fantastic things about this project has just been the number of young people who've been involved. Not only did we have the 9 core young people with the kit bag, but overall we've had around about 400 young people involved, and we didn't just want it to be a one-off project. So these kit bags are going to go into the council's library, and they will be available to any schools, and you could do something that involved a smaller number of young people, or you could do something that involved a whole year group, or maybe even a whole school. So there's a challenge.
I think I've developed more people skills because I do have like a little bit of anxiety, so coming and like talking to like loads of different people, that would usually like freak me out, but I think like everyone's so nice in the project, so it's easy to get along with everyone and talk to everyone, so people skills was definitely a big thing.
If you like to follow me, it's people that are most important in life, and as you go through your life you're going to meet many people, and I think that's going to have the most profound effect, and I'm really happy I was part of the project and seeing people enjoy themselves, and I hope they've got a lot from it, they'll be able to pass it down the line.
Talking to people, you know, talking to the teachers, talking to the kids, it's kind of made me more aware of kind of what a working environment's like and what it's like to kind of be like a leader in an educational situation.
From something being just items in a kit bag and then turning into big projects around the school that pupils and teachers can be proud of. Like there's been music, there's drama performances, you know, there's writing. They've incorporated, you know, subjects from all over the curriculum. I think it's really great.
Attention! Being able to do this project and meet a new group of people has been a really big thing, and it's one of the reasons that I stayed on, because at the start of the project we weren't completely sure what it was we were going to be doing, so having my friends there and them going through the exact same things as you, that helped a lot, and that's probably one of the main things that I'll take away from this.
Pack up your troubles in your old kit bag and smile, smile, smile. While you've got Lucifer to light your fire.
Arms straight out,
boy, that's the